It's the last full week of July, meaning next week's already August. It's crazy to me. It's also getting hotter, so that part I do believe. Let's talk supply and demand. This week, we got some numbers for what's going on. But before we get into supply and demand, which, by the way, I know can be boring, but I'll do my best to make it fun. Rates are basically flat. They're still in that high six. You can see here on this chart that the last four little candlesticks, we've been moving pretty much sideways. I think we're going to continue to do that. Big numbers are going to come out on Friday for inflation. I say big numbers. It's a big deal, but I don't think the numbers are going to be that big. They're going to be 0, maybe 0.1. So I don't see a lot of movement. The market should like that. And if it does, rates could continue to just improve. It won't be as dramatic, in my opinion. We'll see. I don't think it'll be as dramatic as the last couple of weeks, but I think we're on the right track. Let's talk supply and demand, existing home sales. So these numbers come out. These are existing homes, from Joe homeowner selling to, Bob the buyer. The median home price is 426 common nine. So call it 427,000. Remember, that's the median, not the average. Median just means like what's in the middle. Month over month, year over year, that's obviously up. Year over year, it's up 4%. So again, that's not technically appreciation. It just means the median. It means more big houses are selling than smaller houses. It's certainly indicative of prices going up. Inventory, because I've seen a lot of headlines like, oh man, all this inventory. Look, the average is 22 days on the market. And the inventory, it is up to 4.1 months of a supply. But again, a normal market, is 4.6. So we're basically in a quote normal market. The inventory is 1.3. And you guys can see the bottom left, which is just, it tells you like what percentage of the buyers are. Like, for example, investors are 16% versus 18. Cash buyers are 28%. First-time home buyers, I'm reading from bottom up. First-time home buyers still just about a third of the market, 29%, give or take. And by the way, check this out. Still 29% of homes are selling over list price. So for new home sales, this means like, things are getting built. This is interesting because the actual supply for what's out there, again, guys, think about this. You can't move in the house when it's just like, dirt or when it sticks and it's not completely finished. So for the total inventory, you got these numbers are like, oh, it's a whole bunch. Look, at some point, the builders may not just build the house. They may have the permits ready and buyers, which you'll see in a second, have dropped out. But supposedly the reported months of supply is like 9 months of supply. The reality is for what's completed, it's less than 2 months worth of supply. So you see all the headlines saying, oh, we're overbuilt and all this stuff. Again, these homes can't be moved into. So it's like you're going to say, well, eventually they get built. Yes, I agree. They will eventually get built. A lot of them will, but some won't. And the part that I was just making is that a lot of these folks, like right now, apparently 56,000 home purchases were canceled. Means 15% of the homes that went under contract. That is the highest. I mean, that's one of the highest ever. I think I saw 16 a couple of months ago. But point is, people are getting into contracts and getting cold feet, maybe it's inspections, but it's certainly higher than normal. And again, I don't know if that's just shock. Maybe they didn't talk to a competent mortgage person and didn't know what the rates were, what their expected payments were. I'm not sure why you'd go to the work of going under contract because the sales price, you're signing the contract. So I'm not sure why and how to explain that outside just cold feet after running the real numbers, I guess. 20% of the homes did have price cuts. So that is the highest on record, or June on record, I should say. So that's 1 in 5 homes. But as we just saw in the previous slide, almost 1 in 3 homes were selling for over list price. So again, kind of, price cut could mean that, okay, it was overpriced to begin with. Who knows? It's hard to truly know all these stats. These are the home sale prices and where the sales actually fail according to the maps. And you can look wherever you are right now, but in Texas, you can see that we're for the most part okay. But again, the prices are still going up. Inventories are sneaking up just a pinch. For the Texas housing market, sales drop because you see all these headlines, guys. According to Zillow, here's the index. I mean, look, did prices drop? Yeah, a little, right, in the last year or two. But at the end of the day, look what you did just even in the last 4 years. I mean, this is an 8-year chart, 2016 to now. I mean, it's ridiculous. So it's like you see all the headlines like prices falling. Okay, they're inching one way or the other, but just because they fall this month, they're going to be up. And again, year over year, as we've just shown, prices are up. So it's just a lot of headlines, and it's hard to believe which one's accurate, right? Because a lot of snapshot in time, people then project it and say that's the trend. Fannie Mae, here's what they predict. This is a lot of numbers. Don't worry about it. The upper right is what I paid attention to. For what they predict the GDP to be, they think Next year is going to be about 2%, and that's right where the Fed wants it. That's where they, inflation supposedly won't get too out of control. Unemployment should be fine, so we'll see. But the Fannie Mae is expecting 2 rate cuts this year. They're expecting both measures of inflation to be in that mid to high twos. And that's, again, right where the Fed's kind of wanting to get it or getting close to it at least. So the unemployment I just mentioned, they say it rose to 4.1. Guys, we're getting data from a year and a half ago where jobs were overstated, meaning like they said all these jobs were created to the tune of literally 1 million a year overstated. So 80, I think it was the exact number was like 87,000 a month overstated, which is crazy to me. So unemployment should be rising when all the numbers, I'm not saying it should, but when doing so, that gives the Fed the opportunity to cut rates. Here's the unemployment by state. We put Texas on top. We're about that same 4%, kind of the national average, but you see some states do go higher. California's at 5. I think that was interesting. And the job gains, as I just mentioned, for what they're saying and what it is to be determined. But again, last year, like if they say, okay, they gained 206,000 jobs in June, if the data from a year and a half ago is reflecting that close to 87,000 didn't actually exist, almost cut that in half, right? So it's like these numbers they say are great, but it's hard to trust this data in real time. Okay, the fun stuff. Look, Rolex price, I'm putting this in from my buddy Omid. He's a big watch guy, and they call it timepiece collecting. Sorry. But basically, for the most part, watches are going down, except for this lovely lady. So Lauren, if you don't know this, is dating this world's second richest man, Jeff Bezos of Amazon. He's worth like 200 and some odd billion dollars. Good for him. But she's showing this like kid book. She's like, oh, she wrote a kid book. Good for you. Well, the watch she's wearing while she does this was like a $36 million watch. So, hey kids, look at my kid book I just did. I just found that so humorous. So it's a $36 million watch. Good for her. Good for them. This story I just thought was fun and interesting. 2 dudes like did a house swap in London, and they met each other. Like, man, you kind of have a mannerism similar to my dad. Well, they got talking, and apparently they had the same great grandfather. Didn't know it. The names got changed after World War II, I think it was. I just thought that was really bizarre. And then lastly, guys, a shout out, a buddy of mine who is helping realtors and helping those that we love and care about for $1, a whopping $1. If you just tell them you came in through us, there's a QR code you can scan. It helps the listing launch package for $1. You have nothing to lose, right? Go try it. If you don't like it, don't use it. But I promise you'll like it. And if you don't, call me. But this is fantastic. Use this QR code. Call Connor. He's a good dude. And lastly, this one made me chuckle. The Godfather. I'll be honest, I'm not a Godfather fan. I've watched, it took me 3 tries to get through the first one. I kept falling asleep and it just didn't hold my attention. I've watched them all, but this meme I think is better than all the Godfathers combined. I know there's probably, not cool to say for some of you, but there it is. And then social, guys, follow, share, subscribe, forward, all that fun stuff. Hope you have a fantastic, a wonderful, a terrific end of your week, a fantastic, safe weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Have a great week.